Hey guys, well, we've got a longer video on there. It's a little bit after lunch. I'm happy to say that my taxes are all paid, taken care of, and sent out. So I'm a day early. Anyway, got to measure this thing. I hope I can get 12 foot out of it because I'd like to have some more sheathing, and then we'll go from there. So I need to do a little bit of measuring here and see what's going on with this. Surprisingly, the way the sun is, I have shade almost all the way over to the sawmill, which is unusual. So let me get set up and start measuring that, and then I'll get back to you here. Okay, well, we got 12'3" there. I cut a little piece off this end. Wasn't very big, about 10 inches maybe. So 12'3". I'm going to check the two ends for size and whether I should pick up the one end or not, and then we'll start to do the cutting. Okay, so this end here is 11 inches. And this end is 9 inches. So 6.5, 6.4 it's calling for. So I should be able to get a 6.5 inch plank, or I mean cant. And what that'll do is that'll give me enough to be able to get a couple of 6x6s out of here. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 5 inches, so this should come up 2 inches down here. Down to my toe board, but I'll be able to get this up. We'll go from there. So if you're wondering, how do I know what size boards I'm going to get and everything, all it is I measure the small end, whatever the small end size is. I look on my chart, it's 9 inches. You look on the chart, it's 6.4 is the cant. So in other words, it's already figured out the square, okay? So it's 6.4 inches. So what I gotta do then is try and cut no more than 6 inches down here. So I'm going to try and cut that first on the top, do the whole cant, and then I'll cut the planks out of it. that didn't work out very nice. Okay, so what I've got here is at this end, I didn't get into the wood very deeply, and I should have. I'm not sure why I didn't. There must be a bend in that thing that I didn't notice. So, let's see here. Because of the way that bend is in that log, I'm going to take the opposite end there where I put the toe board underneath it, and I'm going to take the toe board out, and I'm going to make another cut just about even with where I started this first cut, because I didn't recognize how high that log was in the middle there. It's pretty high. It's about 2.5 or so off of the bunk in the middle, so that's too high. This, I want to cut somewhere where I'm at 6 inches here or bigger. I didn't end up getting that, so you take this board out of here. So that's better. So what happened was, as far as the center goes, the pith, I was good when it came to that, trying to line that up. But the log had a bow in it, and I didn't notice the bow right away. I don't know why, I should have. And when I set it up 2 inches, I was too far above the bow. So now we've got good 6-inch can there. We'll have to use that to cut around that. The wood doesn't look bad either. You can see the cant here. It's actually pretty nice looking now. I'm going to check the flatness of it. Boy, that thing is cutting real nice. So I'm just lining up the side of the log there with my backstops. you look at the cut there, you can see that this is raised up and it's raised up at the other end. So this log has tension in it to want to curve this direction on this side. So that's what I'm saying. It had a bend there that I wasn't recognizing what was going on with it. So I want to put this on the sticker pile, or I mean on the junk pile. This log, it's not bad, real bad, but there's a pretty big knot here. There's a pretty big one down the other end. And there's a couple small ones throughout it. So we'll have to see what the other sides look like before I can determine where I'm going to get the best cut. Now I didn't crank this yet, but I want you to see this. You can see that the indicator is right around 6 5/8 inches. Now that actually makes a nice, 1-inch board down the line, and I'll get 6 boards there. So that's what I'm trying to get, is that 6.5 or 6 5/8. So we'll just have to see how things go here. So that cut should be good. be a little narrower, but it's still going to be close enough that you might have wane on one board. So let me turn it again. Yeah, right here where my hand is, it's a little narrow there. So the best thing to do here then is to come up off the bunk 6.5 inches or 6 5/8 and make a cut through here. Now let me measure that and see what we got. So 6 5/8 is going to be very close. So we'll probably end up having a little bit of wane on one board pretty much. Maybe I'll have to cut it down to something narrower. Okay, so with this log being longer, 4 foot longer, and having that little bow in it, you can see that there's pretty much wane in here, along here, and there's some on the other side. But I think I could still get a board out of that, maybe. Although at the end here, it seems pretty narrow. Maybe not. So what I'll do though is I'll just cut down 1 inch and take that board off of there. That'll give me 5 good boards. lot better on that side. I still have a little wane right here, but at least I can get some kind of a board out of that. Better than what I can out of this one. them are good except for the bottom one. The bottom one there is 1.25 inches, so I got to cut a little off of that. The rest of the boards will be fine to put on the sheathing pile over there. So I'm going to take the top ones off and I'll cut that other board. Now this one has a little bit of wane on it, but you can see this side looks real good. So I'll be able to put that up for sheathing and it won't hurt anything. Now the boards do have some knots in them, but the wood is nice and solid, so I won't have any trouble with this. Now because I'm only cutting one board there and it might move up or down, I'm going to slide it down that way so it's sitting on that bunk rail down there because I'm a little too far this way. By rights I should have had the ends sticking off the bunk rails the same distance. So that's on there and probably over 2, same thing here. Okay. Okay, so that board's 1 inch, and I had to take a little bit of this off the top. So you're looking at about a 1/16 plus the 1/8 of an inch that was the full saw curve. So this board here can be put onto the sheathing pile, and I'll use that for sheathing the garage. So that's it, guys. 12 footers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 12 is 60. 60 times $4 is 6 times 4 is 24. $240 worth of oak there, if I wasn't using it for sheathing. Okay, I have the stickers on there now, and I'm going to bring that oak over here. Now you can see that this wood is curved on the top layer there pretty hard. And actually I turned them boards over and they were like that the opposite way. The good thing is none of them cracked. So I wetted them down, and I'm going to bring the backhoe over here with the oak boards on, and then I'm going to wet them down again to make sure that the oak can push them down in a couple of days here. I want to wet that again to make sure that they're going to lay down. Once I lay the oak boards on top of there, they're going to seem like they're wobbling, but in a day or two, that's going to push those down. They have to absorb the water first. Okay, so the oak boards are on there, and I'm just wetting this down again. I want some weight on there. That oak's not going to soak up a lot of water, some, but I mainly want it to drizzle down and get onto the board underneath. And I'll squirt some in the middle there. And you'll be surprised in a couple of days how far down that's going to push that. In fact, when I look over here where I'm squirting, I can see that the gap is getting smaller because of the weight of the wood. So now, you know, if you have a big sawmill, you're not going to spend time doing stuff like this if you have loads and loads of lumber you got to get rid of. But for what I have here, I want to use this stuff in on my garage, so I want to keep it as flat and straight as I can. I mean, I don't mind if it has a little bump here or there, or bend here or there. I can straighten that out with nails, but I do need it to be fairly straight to be able to work with it. So in a couple days, that'll flatten out there. If it needs more water on there, I'll squirt some water in between. But that's one of the ways you can get the boards to lay flat for you. Now, if I leave this sit out too long, more than about 3 or 4 days, these oak boards are going to start curving up as well. So I want to try and get some more boards put on here. I have another 12-footer there that I'll cut tomorrow to put some boards on here to hold them flat. I'm going to take this stuff over to the neighbor that's taking the firewood off me. Hey guys, I don't know if you noticed, but at the beginning of the video I made a mistake with something that I did there and when I was measuring, and that's why when I cut through the log, the very first cut, I was up above the log at the one end, at the butt end. And if you rewatch the video at the beginning, and I'm not asking you to do this for any reason other than to correct myself, it was a mistake and I wanted to tell you what the correction is. So I had said that the log was 11 inches at one end and 9 inches at the other, at the small end. So the 9 inches at the small end would have meant that the difference between the two ends is 2 inches, so I should have brought it up 1 inch. So what happened was I was talking about the 9 and 11 inch diameters, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, I got in my head the cant size, which was 6 inches, 6.5 inches. So for some reason I deducted 6 from 11 and gave me 5, and I raised the bed almost, or the log at this end, almost 2.5 inches. Now when I did that, I actually raised the log higher than that end was, and that's why when I went down 1 inch at this end, I missed it at that end. What I should have done was probably done 1 inch, and then if I would have done 1 inch, okay, because you know, 9, 10, 11, divide that in 2, you get 1 inch to level up the pith. If I would have went up 1 inch, I would have had wood on the cant here. I could have probably still gone down maybe 1/2, but the way I had it, I was 2.5 inches above the end of the log there. So that's why that log came out the way it did. Plus that there was a small bend in it. You know, the bend messed me up because I didn't even look at it until I looked at the video, and then I realized really what took place there when I watched the video and saw my mistake where I'm subtracting 6 from 11 rather than 9 from 11. So I was just wondering if any of you guys picked that up. If you did, good, because then you're watching and learning, and that's how you should have done it. But I made a mistake today, and believe me, I got very little sleep last night. I'm not making excuses, I'm just telling you the way it is. And then I went down to H&R Block again today to get the rest of my stuff taken care of. So finally that's mailed out and I don't have to worry about it. But anyway, you can make mistakes, you can make them quickly, and then you don't know what happened. When I cut that bothered me for a little while today because I couldn't figure out why in the world that would have missed that. And then I realized, you know, that I subtracted the wrong number from the 11 to get it. So I hope somebody picked that up besides me when I watched the video, because that's actually what, you know, what really happened there. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll have another video up probably on Friday. I moved, I'll just show you what I did here. I moved my piles over here because I'm going to start taking wood out to plane it, and I don't have anything in the way right here where the tree's going to fall. So I'm going to be cutting that tree, and I'm going to try and get it to fall right about where I'm at the moment, right here. And the only thing is there's a branch up here, this one, that is probably going to hit this little shed, but I don't see it hurting it. It's pretty small. So I might cut that tree down tomorrow and I'll video it when I drop it in here. So have a good one, guys. Bye.